patiently awaiting the sheep, to count and to shear while we sleep, gathering the wool to weave worlds full of the most silent secrets we keep, continuing when we're awoken, to visit the worlds that we've woven, spin yarns on the loom beneath the sun and the moon, to stay warm in our cozy unspokens. These parallel lives that we live, universality will never admit. Who knows where you've been, what you've done, what you've seen, and the places only you know exist.
The Great Adventure of Stephanie Goose. Average might be the way to describe the essence of Stephanie Goose. Not tall, not short, not skinny, not fat, not rich, not poor, not tight, not loose. Her feathers were sort of a medium white. She was neither clever nor dumb. Of course, she had some friends at school, but not as many as some. When other students were puzzling hard working at solving a riddle, she wouldn't be first, nor would she be last. She'd be the one in the middle. But Stephanie Goose had a special trait that set her apart from the crowd. Whenever she opened her beak to honk, goodness, that girl was loud. When she let loose, grown men cried, elephants ran amok. She made more noise than a diesel train or 170 ducks. It's a wonderful gift, she said, I suppose, though I sometimes wish I could lose it. It came with me the day I was hatched. I wasn't the one to choose it. Quiet and calm for Stephanie Goose was the ideal state of affairs, but once in a while things went wrong and people were caught unawares. Like everyone else, when startled or scared, she sometimes let out a squawk that stopped the traffic, frightened the dogs, and halted the town hall clock. Passing pigeons fell from the sky, trees would tremble and shiver. To get away from the terrible noise, kitty cats jumped in the river. Saturday morning, just after 9, 2 boys were down by the bay. Holy cow, said Marty McLean, the water's all going away. The boy was right. They looked to the east for a kilometer or more, nothing but mud and seaweed and rocks on the empty ocean floor. Johnny MacDonald came close to tears, though he tried his best to be brave. You know what it means, he said to McLean. We're going to get a big wave. Sure enough, a long ways out, the massive wave started to build. We have to warn the town, said John, or everyone's going to be killed. They turned around and took to their heels, yelling up Main Street and down. It's coming! It's coming! Run for your lives! Run away or be drowned! The townsfolk heard the hollering boys and saw the great wave coming. Head for the hill, shouted the mayor, and everyone took off running. To the top of the hill, the townsfolk ran and were met by the clerk of the court. He counted them once, counted them twice, and still came up one short. Someone is missing, he said to the mayor, and as nearly as I can deduce, everyone is accounted for but poor little Stephanie Goose. There she was, down by the shore, standing alone on the dock. Oh, my goodness, said Nurse McCrae. I think the poor girl is in shock. And so she was, thunderstruck, watching the oncoming wave. She was just about to be washed away when something finally gave. Stephanie Goose was terribly scared and frightened as never before. A second before the wave scooped her up, she let out a terrible roar. Newspapers published first-hand accounts from people on top of the hill. They said that Stephanie's honk was so loud the echoes are echoing still. Little children were knocked for a loop. Bears went and hid in their caves. But the most remarkable thing of it was the effect that it had on the wave. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen, and I've lived here for many a year. When Stephanie honked, that gigantic wave all at once just disappeared. That's not it at all, said Connor MacLeod. She stood like a warrior knight with a wave of her sword and a gigantic roar. She chased the thing clean out of sight. Differing stories are told in the town of how events came into play, but on one detail they all are agreed. Stephanie Goose saved the day. And though once in a while she's given the squawk, she still has the townfolk's affection, and everyone carries, in pocket or purse, some kind of hearing protection.
Lava field. The New England seamount chain is a line of extinct volcanoes. Earth's innards surged and spewed as molten rock. Now sharks and sperm whales glide past, igneous eyes scanning. This night a keening sound pulses in the pauses. Voices of hardened rocks, sea spirits tumbling tip to toe across tossed cobbles, and empty shells spinning. Hard edges ease by the relentlessness. We feel the familiar energy streams and cell fluids stir, equilibrium shifting. 3.8 billion years ago, Earth's temperature cooled. Waves condensed to form oceans. This night, caterwauling rocks are sucked back, barnacles and anemones feed. We prick our ears for the echoes of spent lava. The right way. The quest is for food, always. To survive for the one, for the whole. They are following shifting plankton northwards, away from surprising fundy warmth. These right whales seeking the sweet spot of shifting seas. Skimming the surface so right, partial to where sea meets sky and ships ply, steering towards St. Lawrence's Gulf. The Gulf, so named August 10th, 1535, 1535, by Jacques Cartier, on the feast day of St. Lawrence, Archdeacon of Rome, protector of the church's riches. Sainthood for this, ordered to deliver the treasures of the church, Lawrence presented to the rulers these, in lieu of other jewels. The crippled, the suffering, the indigent, the blind of Rome, boldly declaring them to be the church's true gems. And now, by the feast of St. Lawrence, Anno Domini 2017, 13 right whales out of 500 in toto have died by the blunt force of ship and by fishing gear strangles. Crippled, suffering, indigent, where sea meets sky and ships ply, Leviathan jeweled offerings of holy waters, from our blind quest for riches, for the right treasure. When following food, where sea meets sky, means you die. Beside you. Dark sidewalks bordered in ice, frozen, refrozen, grit gray, crystallized, not many about. Tiptoed, leaning, pushing against the pull down, treacherous black sheen, false move, and you're slamming hard. Hands pushing me down tight, multiple barriers, some say. You're seeing more and more, and younger too. Down a well, see the light, no rungs, no rope to climb. Here walking and talking above. There, but for the grace of God, go I. Eyes avert. Why can't you get a job? I gave it the food bank. Why not beside you, not below? Land on the gritty bit, swerve past the shine, still standing, still moving. My kids need dreams, not staying frozen. Downtown, bordered in ice.
Colloquial murmurs and organic booths, the grains of a Sunday thesis, fiddles, guitars, sonic entrails of a Sydney adamant to advertise lack of a skybound opera of sharks. Our soundtrack earns keep from its air tenancy, rubbing shoulders of kitchen thresholds where strings and flesh birth roots. The Cape Breton kitchen party oscillates with the vapid tact of Hebrides druids, drunken sailors and the bais that built their boats, serenading Fingal with off-key cacophonies of lurid sea shanties. Metal clanks circulate the homemade cauldron man's irony busk, resuscitating memoirs of a railroad's economic intestines, social blood fueling arterial chugs. Canada's poor man's Klondike, apportioning war steel for the odds makers of mortal identity. Here lies a geographic casualty of war. Cauldron man's staccato clanks sounded like a summon to a wedding kiss at first. But here are Sydney's finest, keeping Sydney fine with its homegrown rotary of bill and coin transactions. British industries and provincial governments who take the meaning of mainland to heart, and the island to purse, need not acquire hand-painted signs bidding welcome to one's home. Tongues of treasuries are incapable of savoring these soups or indulging in the sentiment of localized greeting cards. And tourist-minded ministers are blind to the photos of ethereal Cape Breton off the Cabot Trail's path. A restless child cries as a toy train tantrum is hushed underneath the alloyed throne of ancestry. Thank you very much.
Icicles falling, knocked by the top of the door, teaching me blind spots. Icicles hanging from a log spanning the stream, shaped like wine goblets. Year of the rat ends. Water beads on cold metal. Do not speak moistly. Icicle growing like a cordyceps mushroom from the corpse of a snowman.
This is called The Wool Gatherer. There was work for everyone, not just the straight and the strong and the quick. The old one in a rocking chair held babies in warm arms and rocked them to sleep. The old man with bad legs cut potatoes into seed, groomed the old mare, fixed harness. The innocent ones gathered mussels, peeled fruit for drying, picked berries in the sun or apples in their time, plucked potato bugs from leaves to save the growing plants, knit endless socks and mittens for growing hands and feet. Nothing was wasted. All work was useful, part of the whole. All of us helped. Music was played, and the wanderers wandered. The wool gatherer lived with us. She was away with the fairies and wandered the farm of her childhood. She had a bag on a strap and around her waist, and as she wandered, she went where the sheep went, among the fields and paths and along the brook, gathered tufts of fleece caught on fences, snagged on bushes and thorns. Long strands, tilting and waving in the wind, she would untangle and wind them with thin fingers into her little sack and bring them to be spun into warm and useful wool. My hands are busy now, and my mind goes wandering to she who was so accustomed, so much a part of the workings of the place, that even when her mind was floated away, her body kept on working, her hands kept on moving, her fingers plucking strands of wool from the thorns to bring them home triumphantly to keep us warm. And we in turn cared for her. There was a place at the table for her. There was a place for everyone. All of us were needed.
Spring by Jennifer MacDonald. I sat by my window as the days inched by, struggling for my purpose, wrestling with the why. But then the birds came. The winds blew cold and the snow fell fast. My faith had all but vanished, my hope a distant past. But then the birds came. The emptiness consumed me, the darkness took its hold. My soul had frozen over, my spirit had grown old. But then the birds came. The grip of winter held me, the season of my grief. My joy was just a memory. I was empty of belief. But then the birds came. They came as I had given up, the sunrise after night. A touch of brightness in the black, first darkness, then the light. The spring had come despite my doubts, despite the fears I could not tame. The winter had stolen all my hope, but then the birds came.
Okay, is it working? Oh, no, I don't. Okay. I think, is this it? Am I doing it? Poems from home. Oh. Here, Leon, let me help you with that.
I'm Leon the Lion, just back from lunch, here to help celebrate Poetry Month. I hope you're all comfy. Grab blankets and snacks, settle right in, and learn some lion facts. Have you seen my paws? They're big and they're wide. I live with my family and friends in a pride. Female lions go hunting, while males like me stay. My roars can be heard 8 kilometers away. We're often referred to as king of the beasts, fierce, strong, and majestic, with 3 types of teeth. My tail helps keep balance on rougher terrain. I have a big tongue and a glorious mane. The sky is the limit as a young lion grows. Some even end up with their own YouTube shows. So thanks all for watching. This has been a roar. Get a library card if you'd like to learn more. Thanks for listening.
This one's called 5 of Cups. Woken to drown in the falling of grandmothers, their branches disappearing into the dark behind my closed eyes. Sink or dive, find breath. So, moonlight and maple change pillow to ladle. Big Dipper dips a cup full of stars and helps me drip prayers over the forest, over hundreds of maple grannies, gammies, gichuk, mamos, nans, complete with owls and charming burls, nanas and nonas, memers and abuelas, shag-barked, elegant and tall. Prayers pour lovely over each grand grandma and her squirrels. Moonlit syrup for the cities, reaching masts deep into the purple of the night. There must be something you can send, Great Mother. Anything to protect them. Sacred Acer Saccharum, from a system that lacks such simple policies as protecting our very own grands.
I remember a fallen tree as though it had been placed. I remember a path so packed down by little feet it had been paved. I remember a small hill with a child, my brother, at the base, surrounded by toys, mostly sticks and shovels and rakes. I remember that dirt so vividly it had 3 different shades. I remember the fence that separated our house from the lake. I remember seeing my mother's garden and how that made me feel safe. How the flowers in front of the deck, they practically spelled out her name. I remember rides in the wheelbarrow and how it was handmade. My father at the helm, and we would be screaming his name because he would tip it from side to side. It was our favorite game.